Welcome back for another story time. I'm super excited about this one because it's a story time, and who doesn't like stories? So today we are going to be talking about how my first EMDR session went. If you're not sure what EMDR is, or if you want a little back history on how EMDR got started, go watch my video. I'll link it here or here. I'm not sure where it comes up. I think it's this one. I'm not sure. But it'll be up here. In that video, I talk about how EMDR came to fruition, I guess. But today's video is going to be talking about, of course, my first EMDR session. So I started at the beginning of COVID, so I wasn't able to actually go to my therapist to do the actual headphones and handheld things. So we did a lot of internal personal work. We did a lot of getting myself ready and prepared to deal with the after effects of EMDR. So I learned how to create a safe space. Now, safe space is when you think of a space where you feel the most safest. It can be in your bedroom, it can be at your mom's house, it can be at a friend's house. Just create a place in your mind that makes you feel 100% completely safe. You can have pets, you can have animals, animals and pets are the same thing. Partners, parents, whatever, you name it. Whatever makes you feel safe, add that to your place in your mind. Now, you are going to go to this place hopefully after every single session you have, because what you're going to be doing in EMDR is you're going to be unboxing a lot of trauma, a lot of hurt, a lot of things that you didn't even remember when you walked into the building. So it's a place where you can go. You can just, no trauma, no baggage, no nothing is allowed inside your safe space. You leave that at the door, and then you close the door and lock it. That is not allowed in your safe space. So we created a safe space for me, and my safe space was in my bedroom with the door locked. I had to make sure that door was locked. And I was wrapped up in my partner. We were cuddling and everything. And that was my safe space. That was where I went after every single session of EMDR. Now, with that being said, I also had to learn how to handle my emotions and my emotions and my physical well-being after a session. I learned very quickly that I wasn't able to make decisions after a session. So I'm in charge of keeping the house clean and making dinner. I couldn't do that after an EMDR session. My brain was done. I couldn't make a decision if my life depended on it. So what I learned was I had to schedule out, okay, I'm having EMDR session on Wednesday. We're gonna have pizza on Wednesday. We're gonna call and order pizza on Wednesday. That's what we're doing. I'm not cooking, I'm not doing dishes, I'm not doing chores, I'm not doing anything, because my brain's not there. It's not. Even though I didn't physically work out, I feel like I worked out. So just a heads up, after EMDR session, make sure you have all your ducks in a row before you go to session, because you're not going to want to deal with anything afterwards. So we started creating some tools. Like I said, we did the safe space, but then we also learned how to do breathing exercises, which that sounds like very, well, breathing exercises. But after a session, before you go into your safe space, your therapist hopefully will be like, okay, take 3 breaths in, and because after a session, your body literally feels, well, at least mine felt like pins and needles and just achy and so uncomfortable. So breathing in and then letting all of that tension in your body, letting your shoulders relax, letting your arms relax, just getting all of that gunk out of you before you go into your safe place really helps. So I learned how to do that. And then once some of the restrictions of COVID was lifted, I was able to go to physically my therapist's place of work, and I was actually able to start doing the EMDR work. So I had the headphones on and I had the little egg vibrators in my hand, and that was a trip. It was very interesting. I don't remember if it was my first session or I think it was like a couple sessions after. I had my first run-in with dissociating. That was terrifying. I went in, so my partner drove me to my appointment. We parked, and that is the last thing I remember. I do not remember walking into the building. I don't remember walking into my therapist's room. The next thing I remember is kind of waking up in the middle of the session. I have no clue what that session was about. I felt very uncomfortable when I came to. My body felt like it wasn't mine, if that makes any sense. I wasn't comfortable. I was freezing cold, even though it was like kind of warm in that room. I was freezing cold. I just felt like I had just been put back into my body. So that was interesting and really scary, because not only did I have to deal with that, I had to deal with the EMDR after effects of being super tired. So I was exhausted after this day, and I had no clue what was going on. I didn't know about dissociating. I didn't know what that was until our next appointment, where I told my therapist what had been going on. She's like, oh yeah, that's dissociating. What? Thanks. Okay. Could have told me about this like before we started. So that was really scary, and I didn't know what to expect afterwards. Thankfully, I didn't dissociate a lot after that session of like upcoming sessions. I was pretty good then, but I have started to realize that whenever I'm very uncomfortable, whenever I'm very cold, whenever I get put in a spot that I don't really necessarily want to be put into, my brain starts to dissociate. So what I have learned is to use some of my tools. So I still use my safe place and I still do the breathing technique, but I also do three things you can see, two things you can touch, and one thing you can smell. And that really like zones me in on one thing specific to focus on. So when I'm about to dissociate, my brain can't think of two things at once, and it only has a one-track mind. So putting it on a different track, and that's the only thing that I focus on, helps tremendously. So that was my first EMDR session. Well, couple of sessions. I hope you guys got a lot from this video. I hope some of it helped. I hope some of the techniques you'll be able to take with you on your journey of personal growth and EMDR. Once again, I will link the video at the end of this video that I posted last week, so you can go watch that. With that being said, we will talk to you guys next Monday. Bye!